Hello guys, welcome back. And today, I'm ranking the top 10 best defenseman prospects in the NHL. Now there are loads of fantastic defensive prospects in the NHL today, but which defenseman prospects crack the top 10, and which is the best defensive prospect in the entire NHL? Watch till the end to find out. Now we're going to go straight into the top 10, and at number 10, I have Adam Fox. He is a Carolina Hurricanes prospect, an American at age 21. He was drafted 66 overall back in the 2016 NHL Draft, and since then, he's made excellent strides and has had an impressive stint in the NCAA. Now in the NCAA, so far this season, he's played 29 games, getting 8 goals, 32 assists for 40 solid points, and as a defenseman, while 21 is a little bit old for NCAA, he is still putting up amazing numbers as a defenseman, and right now is looking like one of the Carolina Hurricanes' top prospects. A guy that, yes, is older, but is producing a ton of points, and you gotta give him that, as it's been super good as of late. And while Carolina's defense is already pretty stacked right now, Adam Fox is good enough that in the next year or two, he will force his way to the Carolina Hurricanes lineup, and with how many solid defensemen are in that lineup, it just shows how good Fox really is. Now at number 9, I have Timothy Liljegren. He is a Toronto Maple Leafs prospect, Swedish-born defenseman at age 19, drafted 17th overall back in the 2017 NHL Draft. And when it comes to Timothy Liljegren, I think his potential is one of the best out of any of these top 10 prospects. While he has had a little bit of a down year, it's still been good enough. So far this season with the Toronto Marlies, he's played 31 games, getting 3 goals, 8 assists for 11 points, and after last year having 17 points of the season, this year was looked at as a year that he would improve offensively and defensively. And most of the Toronto Marlies so far this season have just been studly offensively, but Timothy Liljegren has taken a step back from last season. I mean, while he's still an amazing prospect, the stats aren't quite where they need to be. Now heading on into number 8, and at number 8, I have Keandre Miller. He is a New York Rangers prospect. He is an American-born guy at age 19. He was drafted as 22nd overall back in the 2018 NHL Draft. And in the NCAA, he's had a great season offensively, has really been impressive, and that first-round pick, that late-ish first-round pick, is looking pretty good for New York right now. Now in the NCAA so far this season, he's played 26 games, getting 5 goals, 17 assists for 22 points. Fantastic points numbers for a 19-year-old defenseman, for sure. And in the World Junior Championships team with Team USA, he ended up playing 6 games, getting 1 assist. Maybe not as good as maybe people were expecting, but the NCAA season was certainly impressive for a guy that was still young and was pegged to maybe take a little bit of time to develop. And that 22nd overall pick by the New York Rangers is looking very good right now. I would say Keandre Miller would go top 15 if we did a redraft right now. That's how good he has been this season, and in the NCAA, he's been proving a lot of doubters wrong, as his offensive and defensive skills have been showcased throughout the whole year. Now heading on to number 7, and at number 7, I have Jake Bean. He is Carolina Hurricanes prospect, a Canadian-born guy at age 20. He was drafted 13th overall back in the 2016 NHL Draft, and at first, Jake Bean seemed like a little bit of a bust. He had a couple of awkward years in junior. It didn't seem like he was going to be that great of a guy, but this year in the AHL, he's been explosive and has regained his stature as a great defensive prospect. Now, so far in the AHL with the Charlotte Checkers, in his first year in the AHL, he has played 59 games, getting 11 goals, 24 assists for 35 points, and those are fantastic numbers for a forward, let alone a defenseman who is 20 years of age, who is in his first year in the AHL. He's had a great transition over from juniors, and while his career was kind of looking in question as he hadn't really improved too much from his draft year, it seems like he has, as his AHL campaign so far has been super impressive. Now, he also played in the NHL for 2 games with the Carolina Hurricanes. He ended up getting 0 points, but he's still looking like a great prospect and another fantastic defenseman for Carolina in the future. Now moving on to number 6, and number 6, I have Rasmus Sandin. He is a Toronto Maple Leafs prospect, a Swedish-born defenseman at age 19. He was drafted 29th overall back in the 2018 NHL Draft, and so far in the AHL, yes, he is playing out of the AHL in year 1. He has been fantastic and is really making a name for himself in his first year after the draft. Now, Rasmus Sandin played for the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds in the OHL in his draft year, and everybody expected him to go back to the OHL and have a great season. Being a late first-round pick, he was supposed to be a solid defenseman for that OHL core. But Rasmus Sandin made the Toronto Marlies out of camp and stayed there for the entire season. He hasn't budged, he hasn't moved from the AHL, and the Toronto Marlies are definitely reaping the rewards of that, as he's been fantastic so far this season, playing 33 games, getting 6 goals, 11 assists for 17 points, and for, again, a player that young, kind of like Timothy Liljegren last year, he's been super impressive and has looked almost flawless in his AHL debut. And he also played a huge part in Team Sweden's team of the World Juniors this season. He ended up playing 5 games, getting 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points, and he looked great. While Brannstrom was definitely the best defenseman on that team, Sandin had a big part of the team, and while that whole team throughout that tournament had some definite problems scoring goals, Sandin had no problem, and he was scoring points left and right. And that's the same thing going in the AHL, and while he's not having amazing numbers, for a defenseman that young, he's pretty good right now. Now, heading into the top 5, and at number 5, I have Sami Niku. He is a Winnipeg Jets prospect. He is a Finnish-born defenseman at age 22. He was drafted 198th overall back in the 2015 NHL draft, but he's looking like a huge steal right now, and I personally am a big fan of him. Now, Sami Niku has kind of been 50-50 throughout the NHL and the AHL this season. He's played 23 games in the NHL, 20 games in the AHL. With the Winnipeg Jets, he's gotten 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points in those 23 games. With the Manitoba Moose, he's played 20 games, getting 3 goals, 9 assists for 11 points. Last year, he had a purely dominant run in the AHL. He was looking unstoppable offensively, and I thought Sami Niku, while Winnipeg has a pretty solid defense, I thought he would be a mainstay with the Winnipeg Jets this season. I thought he would have a great campaign. Might be a potential Calder candidate even, but the Winnipeg Jets, when they have played him and have him in NHL, haven't even played him whatsoever. They haven't given him much ice time, and even when he does, he's usually in the AHL anyways, so he's kind of been flip-flopping, and I don't feel like Winnipeg is giving him the chance that he deserves, but even then, I still think he's a great prospect and will be a great player, especially if Winnipeg decides to get rid of him. Right now, I just don't see Sami Niku really fulfilling his whole potential in Winnipeg, unless they get rid of a guy like Jacob Trouba in the offseason. If they get rid of Tyler Myers, Sami Niku could get a great opportunity, but unless that happens, Sami Niku will likely not get the chance he rightfully deserves, and if he doesn't get that chance, I honestly want to see him traded. Not because I want to see great players traded from Winnipeg, but because I want to see Sami Niku actually fulfill his potential, which right now, he just isn't doing in Winnipeg. Now moving on to number 4, and at number 4 I have Adam Boqvist. He is a Chicago Blackhawks prospect, a Swedish-born defenseman at age 18. He was drafted 8th overall back in the 2018 NHL draft, and so far with the London Knights of the OHL, he's been pretty solid, and of course the potential that he has is through the roof. And then Boqvist has had an amazing OHL season so far, playing 52 games with the London Knights, getting 20 goals, 39 assists for 59 points, and I've always been a big fan of him, especially with the 2018 NHL draft. I was pretty high on him and how good his potential could be. I'm not a Chicago Blackhawks fan by any means, but you guys know I think he'll have a great future in Chicago. He will likely be the leader of that defense for years to come, and while Jokiharju, who was certainly a very solid prospect, Boqvist will likely be the guy on that defense, and he's already showing why, being such a great guy at 18, and of course getting that roster spot on Team Sweden no less. Obviously, with that defense being as good as it is certainly impressive for how well he is right now and how well he's playing. Now, going on to the top 3, and this top 3 is honestly super stacked. It goes between 3 guys, Erik Brannstrom, Cale Makar, and Quinn Hughes. For me personally, those are the 3 best defensive prospects in the game, and man, what a top 3, because those guys are absolutely lethal. But at number 3, I have Cale Makar. He is Colorado Avalanche defensive prospect. He is Canadian and age 20. He was drafted 4th overall back in the 2017 NHL draft, and when it comes to Cale Makar, he's taken a more and more patient approach to his development, playing in the NCAA and playing with UMass this season, but it seems to have worked, as he's had a brilliant campaign and is looking like one of the best defensive prospects in the game. Now in the NCAA, he has played 34 games this season, getting 13 goals, 29 assists for 42 points, and those are excellent numbers for a 20-year-old, as we said before, but Cale Makar is taking it to a whole other level. Now, of course, he wasn't with the World Juniors team because he was of age, but when it comes to his NCAA campaign, he was taking in some leadership. I think he was the captain of that team, so he was taking in some leadership, he was taking in some time to grow his overall game, and that's what you want to see from a prospect, taking the advantage and time to be able to round out his game, and Cale Makar, I believe, has done that, especially offensively. We've seen him grow a lot. Coming from his AJHL days, he's really becoming a great prospect right now, and while he has taken more solid approach than guys like Heiskin and guys like in his same draft year, he's still looking great, and as a 20-year-old, he is overripe and ready for the NHL. And for the Colorado Avalanche, yes, you do got guys like Barrie, you do got solid guys like Gerard. On that defense, they are missing that true #1 defenseman that can do it all. But Cale Makar, I think, can be that, bring the amazing offense, bring the amazing defense, and I like Tyson Barrie, but he's not bringing the all-around game, at least not quite yet. But when it comes to Makar, he will bring that almost now, and he will bring that in the future for the Colorado Avalanche. And since they've taken a more patient approach to him, he will be overripe and ready for the NHL and straight in that Calder conversation. Now, at number 2, I have Erik Brannstrom. He is an Ottawa Senators defenseman, Swedish-born guy at age 19. He was drafted 15th overall back in the 2018 or 2017 NHL draft by the Vegas Golden Knights. And this season in the AHL, he's just been straight brilliant. Just made his debut with the Ottawa Senators, his NHL debut. Looked pretty solid, but overall, he is a fantastic prospect, defensive prospect, and you guys pretty much already know that. Now, in the AHL so far, he has played 46 games and has gotten 29 points, both with Vegas' farm team and the Belleville Senators. He's been straight great in the AHL as a 19-year-old. In the World Junior Championships, he also had a pretty great run with Team Sweden being one of the best defensemen in that tournament, having playing 5 games and getting 4 goals for 4 points. He was fantastic and was pretty much charging that Sweden defense pretty much the entire time. But when it comes to Erik Brannstrom, he is one of the best players, I would say, that is outside the NHL. What he possesses right now, the skill, the playmaking abilities, are really bar none when we come to defensemen. Erik Brannstrom is looking amazing right now, and while the Vegas Golden Knights had to give him up to get a guy like Mark Stone, the Ottawa Senators are going to like that, as he's going to be a great guy in that defense for years to come, even though they still have a great guy in Thomas Chabot. But while Erik Brannstrom is in a long line of Swedish defensive prospects and a long line of Swedish defensive prospects named Erik, he still is in a class of his own for how well he's playing, especially in the AHL for his age. He's looking great right now, and the Ottawa Senators might as well give him the opportunity because they don't have too much else to go with. Now, I also wanted to give some honorable mentions to some defensive prospects that might have just missed the top 10. Guys like Ty Smith, who with the New Jersey Devils, he has a great WHL season. Guys like Dante Fabro, who had a great NCAA campaign. Nashville Predators should be a mainstay on their defense core. You got guys like Evan Bouchard, who I'm not personally a big fan of, but still has potential to be a top 4 in the NHL. Noah Dobson, who has had a pretty great tipsy-turvy season in the QMJHL, but overall has looked very solid. And last but not least, Cal Foote, who is really transitioning well in the AHL in Tampa Bay's system. And while Tampa Bay already has a plethora of defensemen, they could also use a guy like Cal Foote. And of course, those guys just missed the top 10. I was tempted to put some of those guys in, but again, those 10 that I already listed were just ahead of him. Now, at number 1, in my opinion, the best defenseman prospect in the entire NHL, I have Quinn Hughes. He's a Vancouver Canucks prospect at age 19, an American-born guy, drafted 7th overall back in the 2018 NHL draft, and this NCAA season has been amazing for him. While I already loved him before he was drafted, he has proved, to me at least, that he's the best defenseman prospect in the entire NHL. Now, in the NCAA season with Michigan, he ended up playing in 32 games, getting 5 goals, 20 assists for 33 points. Elite numbers for him so far. In the World Juniors, he played 7 games, got 2 assists for 2 points. Maybe would have liked to see a little more offensively, but he was quarterbacking that power play. He was looking fantastic defensively. All around, I was watching a lot of USA, and he looked fine. He was looking great, as always. When it came to his NCAA season, he was straight fantastic. To be over a point per game for his age is almost unheard of, and while he was one of the older players in that 2018 NHL draft, he had some of the most potential, and Vancouver really needs a defenseman like him that will quarterback that power play for years to come. And while there are some fantastic defensive prospects alongside of them, guys like Adam Boqvist, Cale Makar, Erik Brannstrom, for me personally, the number one guy is Quinn Hughes, and while that might change as he, of course, gets in the NHL this season and goes to the NHL next season, I still think the potential and the overall game that he possesses is the best in the league when it comes to defenseman prospects. But of course, with this video, I want to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments down below. So let me know, what do you think about my top 10 defenseman prospects? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know your top 10 down below. And of course, the question onto you guys, who do you think is the best defenseman prospect in the entire NHL? But if you guys want some more Grav videos just like this one, then you can click on this card right here to watch my video about my top 10 best forward prospects in the NHL. But that is going for today, guys. If you guys enjoy, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Again, comment down below your thoughts on my top 10 and who you think is the best defenseman prospect in the NHL. And I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Goodbye.